You guys all know Eric has been contributing to Istio, I believe, since early 2019, and Eric has been a key lead in the build and test release working group. So Eric, welcome to become the newest TOC member. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very well deserved.
Congratulations, Eric, and welcome.
Thanks.
Welcome, Eric.
Yeah, so Eric, we've been onboarding you. So let me know if I missed anything. The announcement is out, the Twitter is out, the PR is merged. Thank you, Savan. So I think you're all set. You're also invited to our channel. So let me know if we missed anything.
Other than the schedule to sign up for who's presenting and taking notes, yada, yada.
Yeah, we don't have a schedule, so it's off. It's just ad hoc. I'm actually going to update you on the beginning of this document now.
All right, shall we get going?
Yes, please.
Do we have any updates we need on 112?
No, we do have release managers. I think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
And what was the status of did we create this PR? Jacob, are you on?
Yes, I am. I didn't get around to it.
Okay.
Yeah, last week.
Okay, cool. All right. Stuart, you're the first topic.
Yeah. Okay. So in the test and release meeting last week, it came up that there had been some breakage in our periodic prow tests that had gone unacknowledged for, I think, about a week, maybe longer. And it was kind of brought up that right now we don't have a really good way of properly escalating test failures in the periodic jobs. On the just making sure they get to people that can actually fix them. And so we wanted to bring this question up to the TOC, which is just kind of how do we want to go about distributing test failure notifications for these kind of jobs. I know that we have the ability to kind of direct each class of failure to different locations, but it's unclear whether we want to direct these to a mailing list for each group, direct it to a big bucket mailing list, but typically gets ignored, or start like selecting people to send them to, or if this should be something that each of the working groups should cover before they start their normal course of business. They go look through any outstanding test failures in their area of responsibility to make sure that things are still working correctly. So it's a bit of an open question. We weren't certain what the best way to handle it is. There's lots of things we could kind of solve, or lots of ways we could solve the problem, but just wanted some guidance on what we think the best solution or like best approach would be.
So Stuart, I guess one question I have, since I wasn't at the TNR work group meeting last week because I was on vacation, is this failures above and beyond what are in the Slack channel today?
I believe they are the test failures that are in the Slack channel. The problem is that there are so like that. That's just kind of a bot channel, and the way that that's typically handled is people just ignore the bot channels. And so there are different ways to handle it. Like we could redirect that to a mailing list as well as the bot channel, or we could have it so potentially, rather than throwing all of the issues into the same bot channel, it detects like, potentially what type of error it is, and sends it to the main channel for whatever that kind of like group or like area of responsibility is. So like if you have a networking test, it'll go to like a networking channel and just paste or post there or something like that. The idea here is that we really don't have a good way of assigning them to people, and people at large are just I think not responding promptly to the general broadcast mechanisms that are already in place. So it's just trying to revisit like what our approach is for that. Does that answer the question?
No, that answers it. From what I would, because I was going to say, I know the channel was out there. I was just wondering if it was additional things beyond the channel.
Not to my knowledge, but I believe it's the same content of that channel. It's just that nobody really pays attention to it.
Okay,
except for John. John pays attention to it.
Yeah, I usually do too, but and sometimes I will tag people on some if I know it's a particular group, but it appears that that's not adequate enough. And I guess I'm curious if we would remap some of them, for example, security test to the security channel, would that, or some to the networking channel, would that cause somebody to look at that more or not?
Well, I mean, so my thought was kind of a combination of doing that, but also, potentially adding that as just a thing that all of the working groups have to do, right? Is go and look at whatever failures are outstanding in their area of responsibility to make sure that those are triaged appropriately before starting that week's run of business. Just make sure that it gets kind of a quick scan at least from people that know how to fix it. But that I don't know if that would fix it or not long term.
Is it possible that we can pull out based on the delta since the last time that the test succeed, and then notify the people who made changes between the delta? So it's a little bit more targeted.
To my knowledge, the tools that we use don't allow for that now. We could probably build that out. But I don't know precisely what would be involved with doing that. The other problem is, I have not looked at the tests, but if there's any kind of like flakiness to them, it could potentially end up directing a whole lot of empty noise at people that won't really have any way of fixing it.
Yeah, it would have to be stable test that suddenly become failed.
Yeah. And I think that's a bit hard to capture, but I mean, we can look into it. Let me just, I'll add a note for that. So I'll do some investigation to see whether that's possible.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for bringing this up, Stuart.
Okay.
Stephen Landau, are you on? I'm going to cover the action items for multi-cluster.
Oh, Stephen may be on a different call. He may not be able to attend if he's not already joined the call.
Yeah, I don't see him on. Okay. Anyone else want to cover this?
I will say that environments discussed this with Stephen, and we all supported the graduation.
So normally we do it through a PR, right? I think it's fine to probably send the PR. Well, I guess the question is, we're supposed to, TOC is supposed to approve. Yeah, so right now it just says action item, so it's not clear if it's what the request was of TOC.
I think probably to approve the graduation.
Yeah, so one thing I want to make sure everybody knows, this is only for multi-primary, that deployment model that Stephen is advocating for promotion for stable, if I understand correctly. So it's not any of the other deployment model for multi-cluster.
Yeah.
Can we open up this doc?
Yeah, I can show the other one. Hold on.
Oh, okay. So Lynn, you said multiple primary. That's the only one that that is advocating for promoting.
Yeah, multi-primary means each Istio,
Yep.
each Istio cluster has its own Istio in it.
Yeah. And in that, is it for flat networking or heterogeneous networking, or does that not matter?
I think it's for both.
No, flat only. Flat only.
Only flat? Wow.
That's
say
what
no.
I wanted to ask.
Whatever is the most stable configurations, that's the one that is moving.
Yeah, this is graduation to stable. So
Yeah, this is, yeah.
Interesting. I mean, in my experience, at least, heterogeneous multiple primary is the most common pattern I've seen. Lynn, would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I actually didn't know this doesn't include multi-network until now.
I mean, the stability and the quality level of them are not the same. I mean, the simplest and the most reliable is flat.
So I think this is just saying, like, hey, can we promote flat network multi-primary to stable while the other stuff is not yet stable? Not that we somehow don't want to promote the other stuff, it's just not ready.
Not at the same time, basically. So what later we can promote whatever is next, but the small pieces instead of waiting forever for everything to be ready.
Just don't know how fine-grained are we going towards this. Like we used to promote features. Now within the features, we have configuration and topologies that we are promoting. Is that confusion for users?
What is a feature? Non-flat network is a feature that is independent of the rest. It's not tied in any way with multi-cluster.
I mean, look at our docs before. It used to say multi-cluster is alpha or beta, right? Now it will be multi-cluster, flat network, multiple primary is stable, but rest all are beta. It might be fine. I'm just making sure we all are understanding, like, what, like, are we gonna? It's fine to go down this path of fine-grained promotions like these.
Sure, I kind of agree with you. I mean, it's a problem that we are mixing too many things in one feature, and we document multi-cluster and flat networks or multi-network in the same time, and because it's confusing for the user to these are completely orthogonal features. I mean, one is networking and the other one is multi-cluster. You can have one without the other.
I guess I would also like to see like what are the gaps for multi-network. Certainly it wasn't obvious to me when I read this document a while back, right?
I do believe there are several gaps, right? And also in usage, right? Like multi-network can have security issues that multi-cluster does not.
Yeah, I mean, it's first of all lack of support for stateful sets, which is pretty abysmal and cannot be fixed until you change the protocol. Second is the security, because you have to expose a public IP, and on that public IP you can reach pretty much everything, and that's scary for some people. And again, it cannot be fixed without the multi-cluster ingress or significant changes. So it's not even close, in my opinion. It works, but it's with limitation.
Okay, so primary concern is headless service doesn't work very well with multi-network, and also some of the security concerns.
Yeah, multi-network is a distinct feature from multi-cluster. I mean, in theory, you can actually have multi-network within a single Kubernetes cluster, but
Exactly, I
approach
agree.
that.
Yeah, I agree with you and Costin on that. So, I mean, we let's see. I mean, we have been promoting multi-network inside multi-cluster so far. So, are we also saying as part of this, or maybe a separate issue, we should try to maybe reorganize those docs, and or are you gonna slice this up and say multi-cluster, multiple primary with flat network is now stable?
To be honest, I don't even know if multi-primary is something that we need to mention, because it's it's a normal way of supported to install Istio. The separate feature is remote. I mean, using Istio remotely, basically, but that's not related to multi-cluster. It is reading the discovery, the secrets, and the endpoints from other clusters. That's really the core feature.
Yeah, I think there's basically three features, right, that we're saying. So we're saying there's this sort of core multi-cluster, and then there's this primary remote feature, and then there's the multi-network feature. And those are three separate that will all be promoted separately.
And also, the remote is kind of the same thing with external Istio. So they're kind of
external remote, same thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I saw Stephen just joined.
Oh, thanks, Costin, for starting this for me. I'm assuming Costin did. I started him talking last.
we were, so we weren't entirely clear what the request was, but it sounded like the request is to approve promotion of the core multi-cluster to stable in 1.12.
Yeah. So we want to exclude remote cluster, external SUD, and multi-network should be considered completely separate features.
Yeah. What are the remaining to-dos, action items before we're sort of okay with it for 1.12? Do you have anything? Is there anything we're worried about getting in?
It's mostly docs. I need to document better how we can control whether a traffic goes cluster local or to a specific cluster. We have mechanisms to do that we haven't really have documented, and we have like different things that have trade-offs. I think I described that towards the top of this. So I just want to add a document for that, and also document things like our stateful set and headless support, because it confuses people a little bit. And then their last thing is probably documenting how to use the bug report tool with Multicluster. Some people do it right, and some people just assume to do once. That's just like a single line item to say, hey, you need to run this against each cluster.
Yeah, I think I'm happy with sort of approving promotion, conditional on finishing up all the remaining tasks, but I'm fine with promoting it multi-cluster, multi-primary as a separate feature from other things. Sounds fun to me.
Yeah, I can make PRs and enhancements that have like a better checklist.
Yeah.
Even on the first one, the cluster.local, there is some instability coming with the multi-cluster ingress naming, and sorry, the Kubernetes multi-cluster, and they have slightly different name. Would it make sense to keep this as beta until Kubernetes replacement is ready? It's not necessarily connected. I mean, multi-cluster doesn't necessarily require this cluster.local special routing.
I talked with Nate for a while about whether or not we should like combine the stability of MCS and Istio with the rest of our multi-cluster support, and his opinion was pretty strong that we should keep those things separate.
I completely agree. I mean, multi-cluster as a feature should be completely decoupled, then. But I'm saying just this particular. Yeah, the cluster local things that the only thing that.
I think even the way we're implementing that in Istio is that it's optional, and you can it'll be off by default that cluster.local actually means local.
I know, but this is a thing that will change dramatically in the other one. So if we just document that, this remains beta and subject to change, and the rest is fine, we keep a bit of wiggle room when the replacement is coming.
Yeah, I mean, we can keep a note of that in the kind of cluster locality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyone have any further comments or objections?
From my point of view, I mean, directionally it looks okay, but for the actual approval, I will need to see this again once there's more concreteness around it. Like, how are we going to split this up? How are we going to change the documentation and stuff like that?
Yeah, let me try to take notes in the TSC doc.
Yeah, so from my perspective, I do think calling this multi-cluster, multi-primary is very confusing, because I think given a lot of our users are using multi-network, they're going to assume this is multi-primary, multi-cluster reach stable, but the reality is not. And maybe we could clarify this is only for flat network, even somewhere in the title, just to be super clear to our user.
So I think the problem is that they're kind of orthogonal features. So it's not that the flat network is not supported. It's just that code is still at beta.
You mean multi-network?
Or multi-network, sorry. Multi-network is still at beta, but like the core multi-cluster stuff is stable. So how do you? So it's sort of, if you use it without multi-network, it's considered stable. If you use it with, then that part's beta.
Yes, I get
We
that
need to
after
clarify
the
it.
discussion today, but as you can tell, it is confusing.
Confusing.
Yeah,
Maybe being more precise about what it is. I mean, multi-cluster defined as discovery of endpoints in multiple clusters or routing to endpoints in multiple clusters without mentioning that it's primary remote network. The feature is actually just that Istio is looking for endpoints from other clusters. That's really what it is.
but with multi-network, you still discover endpoints, right?
Sure, multi-network is
That's
using this feature.
different.
Yes.
That's why I think having flat network made it clear that people know that's the one marked as stable.
The discovery is the one that is stable. I mean, how it is routed and what we do with the endpoints, it's a different story.
Yeah, we just need that clarity in the documentation. That's it. That's why I'm saying directionally I'm okay with it. Let's see in the docs how are you going to mention this so that it's not confusing, right? We can say multi-cluster discovery is getting promoted and permutation, these permutations now are stable and these are not, but just we have to be clear about it. That's what I think Lynn is saying.
No, I agree. I was just trying to figure out what is the best way to treat it. I mean, multi-cluster discovery is stable. I think we agree on that. The question is, how do we combine the different way to install and configure this with what is stable? Because, you know, we mix too many things when we talk about, in the docs at least.
Okay, so Stephen, can you try to clarify that? And have a plan for how to clarify that in the docs?
Yeah.
Do we want to move on to the working group meetings discussion?
Yeah. So we were looking at sort of working group meeting attendance, and I also kind of looked at how many things were on the agenda, how many meetings got canceled, and that kind of stuff. So in the past 4 months, there were 17 possible meetings, and extensions and telemetry met 7 times, out of which realistically we could have consolidated it even more because, yeah, security only met 3 times, UX 12, and then environments and networking met most of their full quota, even though in the past month, networking has had 2 cancellations. So there is kind of a directional thing that we need to look at, and then there is also 1 or 2 specific things that we want to do. So one is that we want to now rework the extensions and telemetry work group meeting into the networking meeting itself, so that many times the discussions are aligned, like all the API discussions and their implementation and all that, that's very closely related to networking anyway. So I think that makes sense. So that's kind of the most concrete change from this. And then while looking at it, and security work group should look at this closely, is that it seems that even security meeting could be folded into the environment meeting. But that's just a strong observation that I have. So someone from security should look at that. Sure, security can also go in networking, like Austin was saying. Either way is fine. So the reason why we should look at these 2 consolidations is that it increases attendance and sort of important things that there is more likelihood that important things are discussed. So I think that from the ENT group, we are okay with this decision. We just want an okay from networking, and we will start adding things to that agenda. And then we also want an okay from the GOC about this consolidation. And then just as another point, we're trying to get the attendance information, which is maintained by Google Hangouts, to actually have numbers as well. I don't have that with me right now, but that is something that we can definitely track into the future and decide if we need to change things.
Right now, this is just a proposal to consolidate the meetings, right? Not to actually consolidate the groups or the working groups.
That is correct. So what will, yes. So at this time, we're not changing the work groups themselves, but I think that once the meetings merge, we could see where that leads. But that's exactly correct. Yeah, right now we're not changing the actual work groups.
So my one question I would ask would be, is the networking work group running long today? Or do they have the bandwidth to take it? Right? I mean, if they're normally scheduled weekly for an hour, are they running, 45 minutes, or are they running an hour and 15?
We frequently finish in less than an hour.
Okay. I just wouldn't want to, extend the meeting a lot.
Justin?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a particular thing for like ENT and networking combining, but I would think like security and environments, they don't really have anything related to each other, and I think you could end up driving attendance even lower for one of them, just if they're meeting irregularly, unless there was like a schedule that got changed. But like if you just merge the meetings, I think it's just going to be a hodgepodge.
Justin, the proposal is security to networking, not environments. I completely agree with you, environments and security. I mean, networking implementation is very tightly coupled with security anyway.
Now, there's a bullet point there. It says security meeting could be folded into environment working group.
That's probably misspelling.
Yeah. So Austin suggested something else.
Yeah. No, I think security and networking could make sense. It was the bullet point about environments. I'm just saying that I think we have to be thoughtful about how we merge them and not just based on like bin packing.
So Mandar, I mean, based on the calendar emails that I get, most of the security working group meetings are cancelled, or either at least that's the email I get. So I understand if they go ahead.
Yeah, right. So there were only 3 meetings of the security work group in the 17, right? So yes, so most of them are cancelled indeed, correct.
What time period is this? You said 3 months?
For last 4 months.
Last 4 months. Okay. So do you think there's enough on the roadmap there for a separate working group to exist? Or
so
like I'm trying to get to why this is happening. I understand this just might be low participation, but is there less stuff, forward-looking stuff to even warrant a working group?
That is so. Actually, I cannot speak for security, so I hope someone from security says something here. But for ENT, there is slightly less than before for sure, and the kinds of work that is there is now even more closely tied with networking. So some of the other work on like open telemetry and kind of that sort of work is starting again, and that's not strictly related just to networking. But yes, so there is just the maturity of our project means that there is less stuff than before. Yeah, and that's definitely true for ENT. Doug, do you want to add something?
Sure. I mean, I was just about to type in the comment section. I think for the pure telemetry related stuff, it's almost been more effective to have out of band meetings anyways. And so when appropriate, having ad hoc meetings for design and discussion related specifically telemetry to the parties that are interested, I think is probably better than having weekly meetings where there's 3 people sort of talking to themselves again. So I would be in favor of switching the meeting cadence that way.
Okay, so switch the meetings for now or consolidate meetings and then come back and see how that's going, and then maybe also merge working groups eventually.
Yes, correct. Yeah, I think that's the right plan.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that, the scheduling clearly indicates that makes sense. We can always reassess, right, if we're running into programming issues or other things. And yes, we should probably see how this plays out and take a look at the working group structure itself.
Oliver just joined. From the security perspective.
Hey, sorry, I was in a customer meeting. Yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah, are you? So since you just joined, the topic is why have we needed to cancel so many security work group meetings, and is there a larger reason? So we just wanted some thoughts from you.
Yeah, to be honest, I think there are security meetings. It's just we don't have many agendas to discuss. I think a lot of those issues are like resolved through some other channels. So yeah, that's why unless we have some big designs to discuss or roadmaps, otherwise we just thought we can solve it offline. We don't need to put it into agenda. I think that's most of the reason. Yeah. So in terms of merging this into networking, I don't have a big objection to it. So I think it's okay. As long as we are not making networking one group meeting too big, especially for those roadmap reviews and others designs there.
It sounds like all of the consensus was that we wouldn't actually be doing that. We're certainly not consolidating the working group, so there still would be a separate roadmap presentation for security.
You're just talking about merging the meetings, right?
Yes. At this point, we're not talking about anything else.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. Yeah, what I was saying is just sometimes occasionally some security items, we have several security items to discuss in a meeting. If we merge them together, it could make the networking meeting a little bit longer, which I think I'm not sure if the current networking meeting is already pretty long, if we want to do that. But if the networking meeting right now is okay, we could merge, and that will be more efficient.
Yes, Stephen mentioned the current networking meeting runs short, not long on average.
I'm fine with that, but I need to also get Li Min's consensus on that, I think. And Li Zan is not here. I'm fine with that. How about I talk to them and get back to you and update here?
Sure.
Sounds good.
So I guess, Mandar, if the ask is for the TOC to approve, then I mean the working groups get to self-organize their schedules anyway. So.
Yep. Yeah. So this was kind of. I raised it because it potentially affects the whole structure, but right now it's just kind of between extensions, telemetry, and networking, and then also between security and networking. And I think so. We will already make the change then for ENT and networking, and then once Oliver can get back, you guys can also make the change, right? You don't need to come back to the TOC to make the change, because if you agree mutually, then
sure.
Okay. Well, so I guess we can record. And I think this is a good idea, right? Saving people's time, getting more eyeballs on more designs. Those are both positive benefits. So.
Yep, I agree.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
And I guess my one comment would be if any of the work groups decide that, this wasn't the best thing, to revert back is perfectly fine. Right? Don't feel that they have to stay combined if that isn't the best answer.
I mean, this feels like just making sure we have the right combination of meetings to maximize attendance, eyeballs, and minimize time waste here, right? So if there are any combination of two or three meetings a week where we can get more people, let's just do it. Yeah, more like Oliver, you said, I mean, like we were saying, most of the security meetings only get cancellation updates. I'm guessing ENT is having less attendance, like Doug and Mandar said. So I'm fine with this. Let's try it out. Let's get more busy than less busy and see if it's time to break off.
Yeah. I think we can make it like flexible. I don't know if we can just keep the slot and say in our meeting notes, we just say temporarily we are merging this security meeting into the networking. And then we just resolve everything in the networking meeting, and like maybe after a few months we feel, oh, there might be a need for a like security meeting, and then we just add an item there, and we like restart this, resume this security meeting. Just make it flexible. Because if I cancel this security meeting, like from the calendar, I don't know if it's easy to like add it back in the future if we need it.
I mean, it shouldn't be that hard to add it back. I mean, if the point is to save time and not block out a meeting that is going to be canceled about 80% of the time, then it should get removed from people's calendars once we've assessed that it's working.
Okay.
Just to be respectful of people's time.
Okay. Sure. I can remove it if we if Limi and Li Zhan also agree on this.
Okay.
So Shweta, did you want to bug us about the 2022 strategy again?
Yes, please. It's way overdue. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, we were supposed to work on it last week and we failed miserably. So this week.
Okay. Also, just FYI, feature freeze is coming on 14th October. And our docs testing start 19th. Good news is almost all of the P0s are automated at this point. What I would like to call out, any new feature which is going in this release, please make sure there is a docs automation available already for that feature, or there should be a provision which Brian used to take care that it's not merging in. Otherwise, it will create a technical debt for us again.
And I'll make one comment, and I haven't looked at it yet, but I did see after I got back that the current Istio.io testing against the master branch is, against the current master branch is failing. I think we moved up, I want to say 2 weeks ago and got everything fixed and running, but I think when I was out on vacation, things broke again, and I haven't looked to see what the failure is. So some of the test cases are broken. So we'll want to work on getting those fixed as well.
Great. Thank you, Eric. We have a working group leads meeting tomorrow. Let's discuss further now that we are close to the release. Thank you. So Swain and Neeraj, are we expecting that one pager by next week, do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's got all the stuff in it. I think we just have to text it. So I'll work on that this week.
Thank you.
Did anyone have anything else they want to cover? Quick once. Clicking twice. Everyone's still tired from the weekend, I think. Okay, should we call it a couple minutes early?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, everyone have a good week. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, bye.